If you click on this video, chances are that we love something in common. You may have a love for spooky stuff. You have certainly watched a lot of indie horror animation and maybe even tried to make your own. If that's true, welcome then. My name is Chloe Carmilla Rose, and I would like to introduce you to my own silent and twisted world. Step in. Bienvenue. I've always been pretty fascinated about what one can do during their free time thanks to the internet. I love learning new stuff on my own. I am an eternal searcher person. It actually got me into one of the few public video game school education in France. And as I am speaking today, I have just graduated from my final year of master degree. But with all of that, I didn't really have the time to step back and think about what I actually wanted to do. It may seem weird, but it's been a while since I made art for myself, and not for the sake of making something for school or for getting a job. I also wanted to try out a genre that had always fascinated me: horror. I did have some prior experience with the genre, thanks to some small horror video games that I made for school. But I was feeling it was finally time to dig deeper and look for a more personal approach to horror. What it actually means to me, and why I never tried making horror art before. What interests me about horror is what it reveals about human beings, both individually and collectively. Horror is the end of pride. Horror opens up a feeling that society does not value highly: humility. What I knew was false, and I am no longer the master of the world. I am no better than anyone else. I am the potential prey of a threat I cannot name. In horror, we can finally experience the often unpleasant and suppressed feeling of vulnerability. What remains of us when horror sweeps away the last remnants of our ego? Who am I when I have to confront my own vulnerability? This feeling of humility is comforting. Perhaps through this vulnerability, I could finally feel a connection with human beings whom I no longer understand and heal this rift. As I am making this video, France has been shaken by a series of important protests. It was a joy to see so many people on the street, but yet, sometimes, I had to face people who weren't sharing the same feeling, people who were feeding their opinion on the far right-leaning side of the news, or just the rampant fascism that surrounds them. This kind of realization is disturbing. When you realize communication is no longer possible, and you can feel a growing gap separating yourself from other people. Horror is an exercise of humanity. Horror wouldn't exist without empathy. My vision of horror will be political, and it will embody the feeling of disconnect that I've felt, even since my childhood. My sensitivity and way of thinking clashing with other people's insensitivity, individualism, and apathy. I think my first approach toward horror happened thanks to the Goosebumps series. I always have created art, even as a young kid. I was particularly a fan of dragon and dinosaur at the time. Hence, I can state without a doubt that creatures especially have always taken an important part in my life, be it with Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, those fantasy reserved to boys and not to girls. I never tried to make horror art before. Maybe I was too caught up with the love I had for the horror series that I affectionated. Maybe I was too scared. It wasn't going to be as good as I hoped it would be. Being an artist also requires me to be true to myself. Maybe I wasn't capable of that too. In horror, through this humanity that bear, I want to restore light to the lost joy of wonder, to the marvelous, to dark poetry, to silence and melancholy, to freaks and troubled people. I want to make normality shiver. I want to find the balance between reflection and let it go, understanding and sometimes not always explaining, to finally revive the irrational part of myself that is forbidden to me. Now let's open the first door to my imagination. The monster I'm going to talk about today is called EtoileHead. The idea of this creature actually came to me thanks to a real place. I'm not going to share the address of this place for privacy reasons, but it's a weird place that I didn't expect to find in one of the biggest cities of France. And no, it's not Paris. One of my friends actually used to live there. It felt like some kind of twisted hospital, a strange residence, or the inside of an unusual spaceship. The corridors were wiggly. They made weird turns, in across each other for no reason. Certain windows led to nowhere. It's always super dark here, and one of the most fascinating things about this place are the optical illusions. What makes it so interesting was this out-of-place feeling, since the inside of the building didn't fit the outside. While I tried to find inspiration from other sources than the traditional internet horror references, it was difficult not to think of the backroom and the liminal space horror trend as I was working in this environment. It was amazing to work in such a surreal environment in real life, so I definitely knew I wanted to create something out of it. So now let's jump to the concept art. One of the details that quickly got my attention was the big blue star illusion. As I felt like the whole building also had a sci-fi vibe in general, I decided to make a space-inspired creature. In the very first sketches that I made, I quickly came up with a star-shaped head, directly referencing the eye-catching blue star illusion. I wanted at first to make a more humanoid creature, without knowing exactly why. Maybe it's always easier to create a frightening monster if it's based on a human appearance. Don't ask me why or how, but I ended up stuck on the idea of making a slasher with a chainsaw that would create sparkling stars as it runs. One of my friends suggested to me to break the 2 arms, 2 legs silhouette and go crazier with the overall shape. So I started doodling silhouettes to create a non-biped shape. I tried not to think too much during the process. So I ended up this time with this creature. Some of the references that I had in mind were Dr. Nowhere and Trevor Henderson. I said that I wanted to stay away from internet references, just to get a fresh eye on my creativity, but horror is a genre that constantly references itself, and I have to acknowledge it. The name of the creature is pretty much inspired by EraserHead, one of my favorite creature designs from the internet. Another friend of mine suggested to me this name, Étoile, meaning star in French. It's also a reference to Buckethead, a guitar that my friend and I both really like. What started as a kind of joke finally stuck with me, and I eventually decided to keep it. Very straightforward, but it did the trick. I brainstormed a new set of monsters to develop the idea of this blob. I first tried to make it look infested by some kind of parasite. Then I drew it as some kind of living stone, and I even tried to make it more like Windy Goth. I like the Windy Goth aesthetic. It's a gothic aesthetic based on nature, witches, and star. It reminds me a little bit of movies like Hugo Cabret and Fantasia. As the Windy Goth aesthetic fit the star aesthetic, I thought mixing Windy Goth and horror elements could be fun and original. But in the end, it was definitely far stretch regarding to the alien cosmic horror theme that I was originally going for. The most voted versions were the number 2 and number 3, because I guess they felt more organic. To make the face of the creature, I once again asked my friends to choose between different designs. They chose the ones with the mouth. The character's mouth added just the right touch of humanity to balance the alien-like design, and it made it more threatening. With the creature taking shape, it was finally time to think about who it was and how it would fit with its environment. Every good creature needs a coherent environment. They should even be thought together. The creature influencing the environment, and the environment influencing the creature, back and forth. So I decided to keep the original design of the corridor quite early on, trying out different lighting scenes, one closer to the original lighting, others more fantastical. I also started to think how I could make the creature feel more grounded in its environment. I first tried mimicking the blue paint of the star on the monster's skin, but it felt a little bit messy. I felt like I couldn't get it right, so I changed my mind and added instead roots to the creature, with the roots grounded into the artificial urban floor. It truly felt like the creature seemed like an invasive monster, a being that maybe have lost its way to this place. Yet, the star illusion around it echoed the shape of its head, counterbalancing this observation. It's the clash between those two contradictions that creates a sense of mystery and uneasiness. One of the regrets I have on this project is not having thought too much about the backstory of the creature. I wanted to make this scene mysterious and atmospherical, so people could interpret it according to their own imagination. But the main reason why I voted to deepen the subject was mainly because I wanted to keep this scene as simple as possible, as it would be my first ever 3D animation project. So I tried to write a small narration to add tension to the scene and give more depth to the visual elements that I already had. I was too tired walking back from work to know if what I saw was true. It didn't attack me. It just stood here, watching me with curiosity in a corridor I never had seen before. Did it also want to go back home? I didn't start this project without the raw 3D modeling experience, but it was indeed my first animation. During the 3D process, I had many difficulties like making the blue star projection onto the walls, creating the spring neck animation, or the retopology. But I'm not going to go much into detail here. I'm going to do a quick overview of the whole 3D animation process and focus instead on the different design choices I made. First, I started by making the corridor. It was a rough broken face with some quick modeling. Then I proceeded to make the overall 3D shape of the creature. Then I refined it and did the retopology of the head, mainly because the topology of the body was okay enough for the project. For the texturing, I questioned once again my design. I tried a more effective version of this creature and pushed even more the concept by truly making it feel disgusting, working with the pustule and the sick-looking skin. I made a big discovery when I put the new model into Blender. Indeed, the texture in front of Susan's banner, neutral background, and the texture in the context of the scene looked really different. So I took another step back and reconsidered the original design I was aiming for. Since I like the idea of the pale skin against the darker, poorly lit background, I decided to go for that this time. I was imagining the skin of the creature as some kind of moonstone texture. Okay, I'm going to explain myself. I wanted it to look cold, almost frosty, but magical, as if it was emitting some kind of glow. For the lighting, I had as a reference the original lighting of the footage that I took. Actually, I thought it looked quite eerie and a little bit tense all by itself. So I played around between warm and cool lighting, a poorly lit scene, or a scene lighted by a full, more homogeneous yellow light. Nothing overwhelming that you could find in the Backroom series. I wanted to try that for fun, to be honest, but I do think that what worked the best at the end was the first intuition that I had. I added the flickering light, like in the original video, and move on to the final step, the animation. I wanted to create a slow, calming kind of horror, so I tried to make the movement of the character feel eerie and intriguing, to slowly build the tension from there. Like an unpredictable animal, I wanted the creature to look at the viewer with an unsettling curiosity, as if it didn't seem threatening at first, but could quickly change its behavior at any moment. It goes back to my original vision of horror. While this scene is strangely disturbing, I wanted to create in this sequence a moment of poetry. I made the creature move slowly, as if it was underwater, and the sound design helped to create this crushing, suffocating effect. The creature's curious, almost animal-like behavior makes it seem almost mischievous and playful, a horrible irony that mocks the end of humanity's rational mind. So let's review the final animation. I am actually proud that I managed to achieve this project. I hope that you like this video. Do not hesitate to subscribe and share it with your horror community. This YouTube channel is pretty new and it would help me a lot. If you want to see more, you can also subscribe to my Instagram and my newsletter on my website. We can never know what next curiosity will emerge from the dark.